Imagine waking up at 3 a.m. and hearing something dripping inside your walls. Not from the ceiling, not from a pipe, from inside the walls. And when you finally look up, you realize the walls aren't leaking water. They're bleeding something black, and whatever is causing it is already in the room with you. Kenji never believed in ghosts. He was 28, a salaryman, the kind of person whose life ran on train schedules, deadlines, and exhaustion. But after a brutal breakup and a sudden demotion, his life collapsed. So he downsized. That's how he ended up in a cheap apartment in Kawasaki. The building was old, peeling concrete, rusted stairs. A landlord who didn't care as long as you paid cash. His room number was 404. In Japan, the number 4 sounds like the word for death. Kenji didn't care. He just needed somewhere to sleep. The first week felt off. Not scary, just wrong. The air was heavy, damp. It smelled like stagnant water and rotting flowers. Then, on the 8th day, he noticed the stain right above where he slept. Dark, spreading, shaped almost like a curled-up woman. He called the landlord. No answer. That night, the dripping started. Tap, tap. Kenji woke up around 3 a.m. He turned on the light. Nothing. No puddle. No leak. But the sound was still there. He walked over and pressed his ear against the wall. And that's when he heard it. Not just dripping. Something else. A wet, dragging sound. Like soaked fabric being pulled across wood. And underneath it, a slow, rattling breath. He told himself it was rats. Old building, bad pipes. Anything but what it felt like. But the next morning, his body said otherwise. He woke up exhausted. His chest felt tight. His throat burned, like he hadn't slept at all. In the bathroom, he leaned over the sink and froze. A clump of long, black hair clogging the drain. Wet, thick. Not his. He lived alone. From that moment on, everything got worse. The temperature dropped. The smell grew stronger. And that stain on the ceiling started spreading, stretching down the walls like fingers, reaching, watching, waiting. If you're enjoying this story so far, and you want more slow, creepy horror like this, make sure you subscribe now, because what happens next is where it stops being unsettling and becomes something else entirely. Kenji tried to leave. He packed a bag and went to the door. He grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. He pulled harder. Nothing. The metal was ice cold. He kicked the door, slammed it. Still nothing. The door wasn't locked. It was sealed. That night, a typhoon hit the region. The wind screamed. The windows shook. Then, everything went dark. Total blackout. Kenji sat on his futon, using his phone as a flashlight. And then, the dripping came back. But this time, it wasn't dripping. It was pouring, like a storm inside the room. Slowly, he raised his phone and pointed it at the ceiling. The stain had opened. Black liquid was pouring out of it. Thick, dark, wrong. And then something moved. A figure emerging from the ceiling, head first. It was a woman wearing a white burial kimono, stained with mud and decay. Her long black hair hung over her face, her limbs bent at unnatural angles. She didn't fall. She crawled down the wall like an insect. Kenji tried to scream. Nothing came out. He tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. The air in the room was gone, replaced by something heavy, like being pulled underwater. She crawled onto his chest. The weight crushed him. He couldn't breathe. She leaned closer until her face was inches from his. And then she spoke, not out loud, inside his mind. A voice filled with hatred, ancient, endless. She whispered a name. It wasn't Kenji's. It was the name of the man who lived there before him. But it didn't matter. Anyone would do. 3 days later, the storm passed. Kenji didn't show up to work. The police were called. They broke down the door. The apartment was completely dry. No stains, no smell, nothing. But Kenji was dead, lying on his futon. The cause of death was asphyxiation. His lungs were filled with black water. Now here's where it gets even darker. In Japanese folklore, this kind of entity is called an onryo, a spirit born from pure rage. Not sadness, not confusion. Rage, so powerful, it becomes a curse. And that curse doesn't care who you are. If you enter the wrong place, you become the target. But there is another explanation. Toxic mold can cause hallucinations. Sleep paralysis can make you feel trapped, unable to move, and extreme stress can fill the lungs with fluid. So maybe this was all in his head. Kenji didn't move into a cheap apartment. Maybe he moved into someone else's unfinished story. What do you think? Was it psychological or something far worse? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, you already know what to do.